start by congratulating you on your forthcoming birthday. How does it make you feel? And what are the preparations?
How does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've spent by next week Tuesday, I will have spent half a century on it. I mean, I don't know. In terms of how one has fared from birth, I think there's been an appreciable progress in terms of surviving the last 50 years, and then a whole lot has happened within that period. You can actually just sit back and say, okay, I remember, because I still remember things as far back as when I was 3 years old, 3, 4. At least the major landmark in my childhood was the death of Muritala. We were living at the office road then in Motion. I remember that day. I saw soldiers on the road. It was an unusual thing. There was tear gas. We were all feeling teary. And then there was gist about what the Muritala, they've caught Dinka. All of those. Those were things that I could still recall. And if you look back, that was 1976. So coming back, fast forward 2023, you can see that we've been part of the Nigerian state. We've been part of things that have been happening in the world. So, yeah, one feels very appreciative of God's providence and grace for keeping us till date.
And what role has music played in the revolution over the years?
Well, I think by the virtue of me being, born into a family where my dad, actively was practicing music at the time, he was always listening to music in the house. I grew up on some artists, my dad's music, King Sonny Ade's, Obe's, and then I was a general listener, and a good listener too of good music. So music has been part of me all along. Then I remember around my 9th birthday, I was in primary 4, thereabouts. And in our house then in Owode, my dad's band members would rehearse. And one of them actually wanted to start teaching me to play the guitar. I'm left-handed. And my dad would say, no, don't teach him. That I should go and face my studies. I must study to be a doctor. Music is not for me. But interestingly, it is things like that I started picking interest. I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to be around him and his guys, but he didn't want me. So subconsciously, and I don't know what psychology that is. It is what people try if there's no good explanation. And that I learned about parenting. You need to let people understand. So he wasn't doing it out of hate or whatever. He probably had a vision, or he has envisioned a future that he wants to be, or the kind of life he wanted. But I didn't see it as that. I saw it as daddy you like one. So, but overall, I don't think in terms of my love for African music, Juju music, that rather blustered it versus making me, not like it.
Still talking about music. How did you also, how do you see that generation of artists, your dad, King Leonard Day, and co, their own role and attempt to sustain that genre of music?
Well, for them, you see, they really tried. I must give it to them. If you look at what the world was like, so for example, a lot of them were, I don't know if they were accidental musicians, but they also had other trade or training, to support music as it were. But if you look at, the way the economy was, even our political structure, they were products of this environment. And what was in vogue then was, liberation. We wanted our freedom from the colonial masters. We were trying to, speak up for ourselves. Identity. There was some sort of identity crisis, for us as Africans versus, imbibing the principle of the Europeans that colonized us. There was a bit of conflict, and music was some kind of vehicle that helped them, you know, wage that war at that level. So for them, music was beyond a vocation. It was a way of expressing their identity. That was the role music played. And it played a good role in nation building. As of the time we were getting our independence in 1960, if you look at the tempo and the temper of the country and the kind of music that people were singing, they were very, very original, very cultural. And it was all about their identity because they were feeling that the Europeans were repressing them. So that was the role music played at that point in time, versus a time where we were clear about who we were and what role we were playing in the Committee of Nations. Then people began looking for some other vices to sing about. Then the rap culture, and then we also began looking at the American pop culture, and we're trying to emulate that. Different genres of music started growing in Nigeria. Nigerian artists started singing rap. Reggae also had its day in the 80s, and all of that. So, per period, per generation, it is whatever the operating word around, the environment at the point that will then determine how the music goes. So that is, I hope
Yeah.
I'm able to
Yeah.
answer that question
Yes.
judiciously.
Yeah. Looking back at your dad's contribution, what would you like him to be remembered for?
Yeah, my dad was my dad is, well, if you ask me, Emperor Wale Olateju, that's my dad's name, Sabadakin. He had his days in the sun, but in all of his career, I think he was a he was able to manage the family side with his career. In spite of all of the fame, he still had time. He devoted time for education. He devoted time in keeping the family, you know, and that kind of helped. But in terms of how his relationship was with the industry and with other artists and what I want him remembered for, he already defined, because as at the time he was passing on, he was a member of the board of trustees of Juju. He was one of those people that started PMAN. I still have his identity card. His number was 008. So he contributed. And I remember some gist that he gave me then. Ike Dairo and those ones were their leaders then. And now he was, I think he was a member of the executive, and how they used to, keep other artists in check. Maybe you've not paid your fines. But all of those disciplines, I think the industry has lost today. But my dad was a firm person. He was contented. He was a decent musician. I think he also lived by his means. Yeah.
For a very long time, you were able to balance your two roles as a corporate person, and at the same time, you still kept your feet in music. How easy was it for that period that you had to juggle the two media roles?
Well, you see, for a lot of us, where we multitasking is a big problem. But I learned when I was in the business school doing my masters for the masters in business administration. I Those were some of the practical things I learned, that at the end of the day, if you work, there will be a time where it might be planned, it might not be unplanned, but you need to do stuff for yourself. And for me, one of the essence of getting that level of education was my ability to do something for myself, which is in a way, the best way to create wealth is to do something for yourself. Backup plan. That well, after all said and done, I will do this. And I've always planned that by the time I'm 50, if I'm not a director where I work, I think I want to be a director on my own and then do stuff for myself. That's been my own. So all of the efforts I've been making, I started buying equipment, I started investing, is towards that goal. And I almost had like a 15-year, almost 20-year plan ahead. So juggling it at that point, it was deliberate. I knew what the goal, what the big picture was. So my focus was on the big picture. So not minding the level of inconveniences, not minding the level of disruption, and a lot of struggle and challenges that went with it, because I could, for example, after work on Friday, my next gig might be in Ondo. So I need to then manage, conserve my energy, and make sure that after doing all of this, I'm still able to travel down to Ondo and have a good gig. You can see the level of discomfort. But I was doing all of that because of a tomorrow. The tomorrow is today. Now we are in the tomorrow that we were looking at some years back. So it was more of the motivation. It was more of the big picture that was driving me. So I really can't explain it beyond that. And the grace of God was also there for me to have helped and kept me through all of those periods.
And how easy was it to let go when you decided to go?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't easy. But it was something that was time bound. I had looked at it. Every people at the end of 31st and 1st of every year, we sit down to make our resolutions. And I had initially put up the cutoff time some 3 years back, but I don't think I was ready enough. So, but I kept renewing it. But I've always, because the kind of music we play, the window is not open-ended. So my fan base, I need to give them the opportunity. If I keep, so for example, whilst working in the corporate world, I couldn't release my work. I couldn't release my albums because of conflict of interest. And then, in a way, I am denying my real fans and people that kept encouraging me, that opportunity to have Ludare, scale up and commercialize the talent and all of that. So I've always known that there's a limit I can keep pushing the cutoff time.
So when it came, how did you now adjust?
It was easy. It was an easy, smooth transition. I mean, it's just like moving from one office to the other. I've been busy. If I look back at my calendar, back to back, I was booked for the first 12 months after my corporate life. And things are not slowing down at all. We thank God.
So this time around, what are the things you are trying to do to immortalize your father's name and the name of the family?
Yeah. So, we keep trying. Every day, every time I'm on the stage, I think that has a major effect and impact in and around the idea of immortalizing my father. So every time you see Ludare on the road, I don't waste time to let you know that I'm Omo Emperor Wale Olateji and I'm singing Sabada. I'm continuing with the Sabada philosophy and whatever where my dad stopped. But we're taking that a step further. A few years back, we started a studio, 16 Octave. A few years back, I also released a song for him. I did a single tribute to Emperor Wale Olateji. But now, to commemorate my 50th birthday, we're moving the studio to a permanent site, and then we are naming the entire building Empower Olateju house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, talking about the album, tell us a bit about what to expect from the forthcoming album.
Yeah, we have a 10 tracker with a bonus track, which is the tribute to Empower Olateju. It makes it um, 11 tracks. We have 5 tracks on one disc, then another 6 tracks on the other one. So we have 2 discs that we are releasing. The song, each of the songs has its own message, unique message, and essence. So basically, I try to rework some of his old tunes. So things around Sabada. There are tracks in there. There's a Dake Jeje. There is then there are a couple of my original compositions there. So Baba Oshe, Ijomi, all of that. So we try to maintain our mid tempo, very easy to listen and enjoy Yoruba Juju music, style Sabada.
Okay. What are the other aspects of the celebration that you have mentioned?
Well, it's basically a 3 in 1. The 50th birthday, which was meant to be commencing with the 50th birthday golf kitty at Abeokuta Golf Club. But due to the election postponement now, I don't know what the organizers will do around that. Then the commissioning of the house, and then the launch of the album.
Okay. Tell us a bit about the Sabada music. How different is it from the typical Juju music?
Well, style is man. That is what our philosophers say. So, yeah, every Juju artist could be given a topic to sing on, and you see them come reflect their styles, trying to give the same message. So basically, Sabada, it's I can relate it to what I'll call native blues. Very soft music in terms of the vocaling, and then the rhythm and the melody of it. Sabada also, like every genre of or sub-genres of Juju music, has also enjoyed the benefits of using a lot of these Western instrumentations. So we make use of Hawaiian, the Hawaiian pedal steel guitar in Sabada as well. That's one of the innovations the generation of the Sonny brought. We use all the types of percussions that you have, our traditional drums, the yalu, the omele, the cord, the sakara, and all of that. But for us, Sabada thrives more on the yalu. Yeah, for our low end rhythm. We also make use of the strings, the keyboard. We have about 3 guitars, and to accompany whatever it is that we are singing about. But basically, we have just styled our type of Juju Sabada. It is still Juju music that we play, but it's got the slant of Empower Olateju, who is the creator and the exponent of Sabada.
I've also noticed that there are times you sing other songs. Maybe when the party is good, the mood is right, and all that, you tend to move. Does that happen often?
Well, you see, I will explain why that is. We are still building. By the time we start releasing our albums, you will see that people will begin to understand our style, and we have a lot of songs and repertoire that they can relate with. But for now, when we go for parties, there are some obvious styles. So, for example, I have a bias for Insomni Ade's music. I love it, and for me, it's what I have, grown my trade on. There's no crime to that. When them Sonny started, that's the way they also were following the people before them. So it's, for me, I don't have a problem with that. It also goes with the mood of the party. Yeah. You want to give people what they want to listen to.
And how do you also now see the the industry? Are there things you think we need to do to further give it the lift that it needs?
There is no amount of wishful thinking that I may have about the industry if the industry practitioners themselves are not ready for the change, for the move. So that's in terms of how Juju music is organized, how the association is structured. I think there's a lot we can do to consolidate the gains of those fathers, and then also bring better patronage and awareness to Juju music, because it looks like Juju is suffering a dwindling fortune. If you understand what I mean. Yeah, but the practitioners don't understand it as an association. Everyone is doing their own things. But it's fine. Whatever that takes us to, we'll see. I understand my market. I will speak to my markets and I would do my thing. If it is difficult getting the other practitioners together and let them understand. So I think there's a bit of leadership um, deficit currently with Juju or in Juju music side.
Okay. How does the role you played as a marketing person previously, how will it affect the marketing of the music? Would there be some similarities or other things you picked up that you think?
Yeah, most definitely. Building a career in marketing communications and doing that for the past 22 or thereabout years um, is going to add value to whatever I do. So even if it's pure water I want to sell, I should be able to bring in the benefits of having worked, with those multinationals, having learned one or two things in and around marketing, or being a fellow of the Marketing Institute of Nigeria. So I should let it reflect in my pure water or Google. So it's obviously going to reflect, but clearly it is not an high thing. So, for example, I need to let my band members understand the importance of how we turn out for shows, the principles that we hold, how we build equity into our names. So, when people hear our name, it is not just that they expect good music, it must connote some other positive things like, oh, if I engage these guys, they don't come late for shows. If I engage these guys, they turn out clean and nice. If I engage these guys, they don't carry touts all around. If I engage these guys, they bring in good equipment. The sound production is fine. So those are attributes and cues that we can keep, throwing. So whilst an average person does not give a hoot about all of that, I will sure give a hoot about it.
Okay. Lastly, how do you also see the are you trying to involve um, your kids in music, or do they have a
Well,
mind of their own?
of course they have a mind of their own, but what I try to do is, growing up, I make, unlike what my dad did. He didn't allow us. My dad won't let me carry his guitar, but my 5-year-old today plays with the grand piano over there. I'm not going to say don't spoil it, because I'm trying to create an atmosphere where he gets so familiar with it, and then by the time he comes of age, learning can be a lot easier. My first two kids, the older ones, they both can play at least two instruments. My son plays the saxophone, he also plays the keyboard. My daughter plays the violin and the keyboard, and all of them also had interest. They started with the recorder and the harmonica. So that is, if they choose to make a career out of it, good for them. Otherwise, it could be the business side of the enterprise that they want to focus on. They could run a label, they could. But for me, as long as I live, this business of that my father started, I will do all I can to make sure that I pass it on to the generation next.
Thank
So
you.
a good example is the resuscitation of Adebo Records. When my dad left Chief Bolariwa Bureau in 1975, he started his own label, Adebo Records, and he released quite a number of his works on Adebo Records. So Adebo Records today It's been registered with Corporate Affairs Commission, and we'll see. We'll start to build again from the scratch. It's an organic growth, whatever we're able to do with that.